And what I also love about it is that it connects the dots to the next story, and that is this how do you actually apply this technology in a way that makes sense? And so there's another announcement from a company that I had not heard of until a week ago called Writer. They apparently have a foundational or frontier um, LLM, a foundational model, and the news is that they have a new model that is excellent at workflow execution. And I'm really curious your take from it because you're more technical with this than I am on that piece of it. But what I find really interesting about their entire go-to-market, the company, is that they're extremely focused on this idea of how do you actually take action? How do you connect this to workflow automation in a meaningful way? And that goes to, I think, what Rex was talking about, right? How do you apply this? How do you actually make this stuff actually do something that's meaningful?
Yes, and I would say that Writer has an interesting angle in that they are very focused on aligning generative AI to processes. So basically doing everything that the robotic process automation companies are also trying to do, but based on their legacy capabilities. Writer basically said, we're going to skip all of that and go straight to the language. So what they've done technically is, I would say, a straightforward approach to what they should be doing. They are increasing the window size so you can do better instructions, and they are making sure that the instructions that you provide are aligned to the types of processes uh, and document calls that you would typically do in a business. All of that is pretty straightforward. They have a model that they've created, which is interestingly smaller than many of the other general models that you'd see. I think that's good because they've actually provided more focus. We're going to start seeing that simply adding more and more uh, variables and data to a model doesn't necessarily help. Like, I think, not to just pick on Elon Musk for no reason, but he has his own model right now, which puts in every tweet ever created as part of the model process. And frankly, having spent a fair amount of time on Twitter, I know a lot of that is not useful data. So I am very curious as to how that ends up working out. But in contrast to that, Writer has taken a very focused perspective on both the data that they use and the model that they've created. And I think that's increasingly going to be important for these various aspects of what we want to do, whether we want an LLM that is more created to be opinionated or to be good at processes or to be more creative, which I do think is a thing that LLMs can be programmed to do to some extent. But you're going to want to have these specialized models because it's not going to be one size fits all, and it's not just going to be Anthropic Claude or OpenAI ChatGPT at the end of the day. We're going to see a variety of models to do the right thing for the right at the right time for the right purpose.
Yeah, so I look at this and I have sort of two schools of thought on it. The first is I love the action orientation. We've been talking about agentic AI a lot. Salesforce came out with Agent Force, and we clearly are in another hype cycle this time all around agents. But it's one that I happen to believe in. I think that we are rapidly approaching the point at which simply having someone to brainstorm with, an agent or a copilot, is very useful in certain contexts. But we absolutely hit a wall there. We hit a limit, and so being able to take it to the next step and actually take action in a reliable mechanism is critical, and that's what this model is about. Where I hesitate, and it's sort of like the conversation we had last week about augmented intelligence, the company that has, they're trying to integrate symbolic AI and generative AI to solve some of these problems. I'm not sure. I still don't know if I'm entirely convinced that LLMs or generative AI is really going to be the mechanism for achieving that, right? So even if I have this focus on agentic, is that really going to be enough?